What's going on, guys? Boss Jacoby here, and this time it's my complete MLG Raleigh recap video for Call of Duty Black Ops. In the past video, I left off on the day number 2 recap and then day 3 predictions, so let me explain what happened in between. Actually after day 2, the final day, day 3, which is Sunday. So anyways, we left off in round 6 of the losers bracket where Leverage defeated Abnormal, and then they moved on to defeat QUANTIC. Next threat actually swept them, and then their road came to an end very, very early by losing to Optic Gaming 3-0. Now, in my prediction video, I definitely thought that Leverage would beat Optic Gaming, and I certainly didn't expect them to lose 3-0 to Optic. So, anyways, that left Leverage with a 6th place finish after losing to Force in the Constellation match. On the lower part of the bracket, collapsed 3-0 Force, and then moved on to 3-2 Optic Gaming. Moving on, they played Envy in the final round of the losers bracket, and they started the series down 3-2 because they lost the winners bracket semifinals at that score. So Collapse was already down a map. Even though they were down that map, they managed to come back and win that series 6-5, pushing them into top 2, playing against Fear for the championship. In the championship, though, Collapse had to beat Fear twice, meaning they had to beat them first to 3 and then first to 3 again. It wasn't like first to 6 or whatever. That would have been a little bit more difficult. But Fear ended it quickly, didn't give them a chance like they gave Leverage in the past tournament, and swept Collapse out of the finals to win their first Black Ops tournament here on the pro circuit. So I want to go through the 1 through 16 placings, and then I want to talk about 2 other teams, the 17th and then the 20th place team as well. So I guess I'll start from the bottom. So coming in at 20, we have Young Guns, and I believe they finished 6th at the past event. So this was a huge disappointment. They had the same roster. I don't know what went wrong, but they were taken out by a hot team in first class, and I'll get to them in just a second. In coming in at 17th place, you have OB Pro, who was automatically in the pool play. I believe they were the 16th seed and placed in pool A, and they were not able to crack the top 16 at this event. In the 16th place, I don't have Influence, but Influence finished there, and that was a huge shock because they finished top 8 in the last event, maybe 5th or 7th, somewhere along those lines. They had a a great tournament at Anaheim, and they didn't follow it up here with another good tournament here at Raleigh, so that was a pretty big disappointment. At 15, we have Icons Black. At 14, we have an open bracket team, First Class, who, like I said earlier, was able to knock off Young Guns in round 4 of the losers bracket before ultimately falling to Force 3-0 in round 5. At 13, we have Last Minute, which is another open bracket team making a name for themselves yet again. They were able to knock off OB Pro, but were eventually taken out by Twisted Method 3-0, also in round 5. Moving on, at 12, we have Obey, and I was really shocked that, how poorly they placed when they had themselves in such a solid position. They faced off against Force, and I know Force is a whole different team than it was at Anaheim, and you know how Force wasn't doing well, a lot of people kind of counted them out. So I thought that Obey should have been able to beat Force, and then they would have been faced off against Icons Blue, which I think Force would have won as well, and that would have pushed them into the top 6, I believe, and that's just a huge gap between 12th and top 6. Who knows what would have happened after that, but I feel like they definitely could have placed better, but were unfortunately taken out in round number 6 of the losers bracket by Force. Moving on to number 11, we have Juked, and this is a team that a lot of times I don't have placing this high, but for the most part they have done better than I expected. So they were able to knock out Redemption and Icons Black before ultimately falling to QUANTIC Next Threat in round 6 of the losers bracket. So that's another solid finish from a team that's not too well known on the pro circuit. At number 10, we have Abnormal, and I believe they weren't an open bracket team. I think they took the place of Collapse in Pool A. In Pool A, that's what they did. So they weren't an open bracket team, but still they had to beat a few good teams. They defeated Hayes 3-1, and then they moved on in the round 5 of the losers bracket and were able to defeat Influence 3-2. That was a huge game, and the reason that Influence finished 16th. Ultimately, they did follow the QUANTIC Leverage at 6-1. Moving on at 9th, we have Twisted Method. Twisted Method beat a few good teams. They didn't have great pool play. They didn't have bad pool play. They were just kind of so-so, and they did finish 9th, which is very, very good. They were taken out in the 6th round of the losers bracket by Icons Blue. And that's the team that we're moving on right now. So coming in at 8, we have Icons Blue. who was taken out after defeating Twisted Method. They lost to Force in round 7 of the losers bracket. Coming in at 7th place, we have Next Threat, who also lost in round 7 and was taken out by QUANTIC Leverage. At 6th, we have QUANTIC Leverage, who was taken out in the 8th round by Optic Gaming. In 5th place, we have Force, who was also taken out in round 8, but this time by Collapse. Coming in at 4th place, we have Optic Gaming, who was eventually taken out after defeating Leverage. They were taken out by Collapse. And I want to talk about Collapse in just a little bit. Coming in at 3rd place, Envy, who was taken out, like I said earlier, by Collapse, even though Collapse started the series 1 map down. Finally, the top 2, the championship match came down to Fear and Collapse, and Fear was ultimately the victor there, winning 3-0, a clean sweep over Collapse. Collapse is a fantastic team, and I know if you guys aren't familiar with who's on what team, you guys see the 17th seed and you automatically think it was a fluke or it's some Cinderella story, but Collapse is made up of 2 members from Force, arguably the best members, and then 2 members of VVV, so 2 very good members of 2 very good teams combined into one. And the reason that they were 17th is because they made a last-minute roster change or something along those lines, and that's what happened. So actually, when I said 2 members of Force, I actually meant 1 member of Force, and then they had Caramel. But nonetheless, 4 very good pro players on an open bracket team made it all the way to the championship match and fell just a little bit short, getting taken out by Team Fear. And that's where we move on next. Fear, after Anaheim, I said I'd never doubt them again. I had them in my top 3 going in, and they beat everybody. They lost the first match ever because, in my opinion, because John showed up late, which wasn't his fault. I believe it was some weather issues with Hurricane Irene and stuff like that. They lost their first match to, not to Obey. I'm not quite sure. I think it was an Icons team, maybe Icons Black or Blue, one of those 2 teams, I'm pretty sure. But after that, they beat every single team, dropped hardly any maps, and they just swept through, and they are certainly a top contender for many events to come, and I don't think anybody will be counting them out. I know I won't be, and I know I haven't been for this event. But anyways, guys, that's it for the MLG Raleigh recap, complete recap. I kind of broke down everything for you, so even if you watched it, you kind of understood a little bit more what happened, because not every game was on the stream. You guys don't know every score to every game, stuff like that. Tried to help you guys out there. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. It really does help me out a lot. I do appreciate that. Also, I'm going to have a few links in the description box below. I posted a few videos to Machinima Respawn, so if you can, please go check those out, and if you enjoy them, show some support there as well. Anyways, like I said, thank you so much for watching, and I'm out of here. See ya.